Okay, thanks for joining us. Because you're so through westernized cultures heavily conditioned to believe and experience pervasively that you are a material being. You have to be reminded, have it explained, and you need to remind yourself again and again and again that that's not true. You're a multidimensional being. You operate on the physical level, the material plane. That's your primary experience. It's your primary experience because you've been taught to experience that as your primary experience. If you were taught something else, it would not be your primary experience. You experience what you're taught when you're tiny. You're given your view of life, your view of the world, your view of reality when you're tiny by people who generally don't have a clue and are giving you the conventional view. Whatever the society has inculcated into them, they transmit to you. A lot of it wordlessly. But when you're 2 years old and you ask Daddy, what's this? Mommy, what's that? You're being told what reality is, if they answer you. And in many cases, the answer is storybook or fairy stories or something childish when the child is asking seriously, and you actually get no real answers because you get no revisions later on. You're kind of left to your own devices. But be that as it may, you're certainly conditioned around what's real and what isn't, and what experience means. So you have to start sensing it, not just taking it on intellectually that you're a multidimensional being, which means you're operating, call it whatever you want. These aren't the words of the actuality because the actuality can't be spoken, but it gives you a sense. You're operating on many levels or in many dimensions at the same time. Since you're, by definition, a spiritual entity, a spiritual being, you happen to be experiencing an embodied form. There are other forms that are not human bodies, and you've heard again and again that you've inhabited and experienced those forms, and there may be many more to come. But I prefer the simple approach always, because it's enough to try to remember to practice. It's enough to try to remember that you're full of conditionings and you have to decondition. It's enough to simply keep simple truths active in you. When those become cemented, when those become actual to you, then things start unfolding involuntarily, and it gets more complicated because it's not complicated for you. It just naturally evolves. But until that's the case, it's better to stay simple. So let me just give you how I would state the simple view in relation to all that, which is you can think of it as 4 distinct but totally interdependent aspects. How you relate and interrelate to other people determines how you relate to life in general. Determines how you relate to God or truth or reality. Determines how you relate to yourself. For some people, the order of that is the significance of each one of those is in a slightly different order, but that's not too important. The order isn't too important. The point is they all determine each other. They're interchangeable in the sense of experience, because experience is relating. You've been taught probably to think of experience as something that happens. Experience is something you multidimensionally create. You're responsible for your reality. You create your reality. You are not needing to deny that it feels like things happen. You don't need to pretend that isn't true. You don't need to convince yourself of something that doesn't feel like the actuality, but you can entertain the possibility that that is true or could be true. Until it's clear to you that it's more likely true than not, you should simply continue to consider that it may be more true than what you've been taught when you were tiny. And that's why it's all about relating. And that's why I've said again and again that the most important thing in the definition of life and the most important thing is other people. Because how you relate to other people determines everything. It's your proving ground, and it's your opportunity for significant change or transformation or betterment. If how you relate to God improves, all the other three will improve in the same way. If how you relate to other people improves, all the other three will improve. If how you relate to yourself changes for the better, all the other three will change for the better. The easiest one to consciously, purposely, with your own blood, sweat, and tears, with your own hands, with your own intelligence, the easiest one to change for the better is how you relate to other people. It's the least abstract. It's the one where you can get actual, immediate feedback. You know whether it's working or not, because you can just see it in someone's eyes. It's the least complex, and it's the most immediate. So in that sense, it's the most advantageous, and makes the most sense if it feels right to you to put your maximum attention in that direction. For some people, it isn't universal. Nothing is the same exactly for everybody. So for some people, to put their attention on God will yield quicker, bigger results, but not usually. Usually it's other people. For some people, how you relate to yourself, how you think of yourself, how you deal with yourself may be the right way to go, but the vast majority, it's improve or change or do something that you know needs to be done about how you relate to other people. For some people, you do need to change your view of life and your basic experience of life, which can be approached somewhat directly, and that may be more significant in one period of life than the others. But for most people, it's about how you relate to other people. All the other three, and I'm not saying that's all there is, I'm just giving you a simple map, simplified, but boiled down. The one that will work the most effectively, the one where you won't have to break your brain trying to figure out what to do, because you kind of know where you're weak and where you're strong in terms of how you relate. And the one that's the most directly feasible, practical, is how you relate to other people and how you let them relate to you. Because other people relate to you based on what you allow. Your idea, and because what you've been taught, is, it's not your misunderstanding, it's a miseducation, is that if you act, in simple terms, if you act right, other people will act right toward you. Now, if you're over 25, you've already learned that's not true. You may not have thought about it seriously, you may not have pondered it, but you've gone through the frustrations of how that's not true. You may treat somebody like gold and they kick you in the teeth, and you may treat somebody else terrible and all they do is good for you. So it's not a mathematical simplistic equation of act right and other people will act right toward you. There's plenty of crazy people, there's plenty of evil people. People act based on what's inside them, not based on how you appear in the room. Is it meaningless? Of course not. How you appear in the room doesn't mean it's insignificant or doesn't count. It just means that it's an over-personalization. It's seeing it as too personal to think what comes back to me from this one, that one, and that one is because I acted this way or I acted that way. Usually not. Even if there's an element, the main thing is from their side. It's not about you. It's about those levels in them. So you do well to identify where you're really off base, really off the beam, really not right. And it would be better for you, better for your friends, better for your relatives, better for the population of the world, and better for the universe in general if you improved in certain ways. Other ways, you know that you're better than average and doesn't need any particular attention because you can't go around thinking everything has to be given equal significance and worked on and changed, and I have to become perfect. This isn't about perfecting yourself. This is about rounding off the hard edges and about getting rid of the needless impediments and about bringing more forward what's better in you, which is already there, but maybe hasn't had enough breathing space yet. And you can do plenty to go in that direction. But my recommendation is start with other people, because for the vast majority, that's the easiest, yields the most results, the most visibly, the most quickly, and the most effectively. If you absolutely focus on that, but in a very determined way, not in a half-hearted way. It means daily work on it significantly. The results are very, very powerful for most people in general. Within days to weeks, you're likely to feel a significant difference. You're likely to notice results that you'll be satisfied with. That doesn't mean you're done. That just means you see the effectiveness, and you see that even though you need to do it for years and years and even decades, the results are quick. If the results aren't quick, you're not doing it. You may think you're doing it in all sincerity, but if you don't see quick results with that focus, quick meaning within weeks, you'll feel a difference in you. You'll see a difference, a subtle difference, and maybe even not so subtle in how others respond to you. If that doesn't happen within a matter of weeks, 3-4 weeks at the most, then you're not really trying. You're not intelligently doing. You're not doing it the intelligent way, or you're fooling yourself. And just adjust, because the feedback loop is very valuable. The term feedback is usually used incorrectly these days. The original meaning is the correct meaning. Feedback is a loop. It means what you do causes something that immediately gives you information back, whether what you did was effective. So, or the outcome you were looking for. So, if you don't get quick results, do something else. Figure out a better way. Figure out a different way. Always base it on, does something change that I can discern easily? Not you're hunting, well, did something change? It should be obvious. The spiritual movement forward, the spiritual endeavors required, the spiritual advancement must be results oriented. Otherwise, you're going to take too long. You're going to have your head in the clouds. And this is about really transforming, really going forward, really expanding, really changing things. Some of that is happy, some of that is painful. But wherever it falls on the scale, that's how you go forward, no matter how else you're going forward. That must be done. It's a requirement, basically. It's a metaphysical requirement, it's a spiritual requirement, and it's an inbred. It's in your DNA. That's how you evolve. It's an inbred evolutionary requirement, how you evolve as a person, how you evolve as a soul. And it changes your soul content, improves it, which always that refers to what goes with you after this body's gone. So you're building a better soul. That's basically, it's not exactly true, those words, but there's no words that can capture it, so we have to say it as best we can, and we have to approximate. And I like to keep it simple, so think of it that way. As you are, just like you have to tune up your car to keep it in good shape, you got to tune up your life is tuning up your soul. So by the time you're done, it's actually in better shape than when you started. And that puts you in a better destiny for what comes after this life and for the eternal journey. At some point, you're extinguished completely and you've merged with the divine. You don't have to worry about that. What you have to worry about is while you're not there, there's homework. While you're not there, there's significant requirements for you to carry out. And none of us except those who are in complete 24/7 daily practice, which amounts to many things. You know, like people who live in a monastery or an ashram, and a very organized one. So there's never kind of a moment where you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Unless you're in that kind of situation, there's more room to do more. You can be in that kind of a situation even living by yourself. You can set up your life to have a true spiritual life. But it's not going to happen unless you get to the point where you recognize that you're dealing with eternity. You're dealing with I don't like this way of saying it, but people plug into it, so I'm going to use it. You're dealing with your eternal soul. What does your life, 60, 70, 80, 90 years on this little spinning rock matter compared to your eternal soul? Your eternal soul is the absolute essence of you. That's the God part. That's the part that keeps going no matter what. That's the part that determines everything else that you'll never know all the details of. So everything can be compared to cars. So it's like if you have a car and all you ever focus on is the front bumper rather than the car as a whole. The car as a whole is the soul. The front bumper is your daily life or your worldly life, your conventional life. The fact that you have to go to work, the fact that you have to take a bath every now and again, the fact that you have to walk the dog, the fact that it's not fun to be sick, the details of life that have to do with the material level. Most people are taught, and in Western culture like never before, to focus pretty much exclusively on that. And even though obviously everyone who listens to me is far and well beyond that, that conditioning may still be operating in you in more subtle or unseen ways, and that's part of what you have to decondition. Because it has to get to the point. It's a requirement. And if you don't complete it in this life, and it's not an advanced requirement, you will be very limited in what's possible for you metaphysically and spiritually. You have to get to the point where you recognize that what you are living is spiritual life, even if you're never in spiritual life or never experienced anything in spiritual life, which is not true for any of you. I'm just trying to emphasize the point dramatically. Where you really get it, that there's no such thing as regular life. It's all spiritual life. From the moment you were conceived till your last breath and after your last breath, it's all spiritual life because that's what life is. You've been taught a really weird perspective that there's a material life, and you've come to the point where you recognize there's a spiritual life. But until there's no division for you, you're kind of hamstrung. And I want you to be, streamlined. Have the wind at your back, not in your face. So you can really move, really get to where you are trying to go. So remember, metaphysically, other people, how you relate to others, just for a quick review, how you relate to other people determines how you relate to life in general, determines how you relate to God, determines how you relate to yourself. Change the order any way you want. It's the same layout. To try to change them all will confuse you. Pick one and really focus on it intensely. And I recommend because it's true for 99% of people, that how you relate to other people is the best one to pick. That's where you put your effort. Improve that, and you've improved all the others. Improve that, and you've made your soul better permanently. Okay, good enough. Now we talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Swamiji, Noah and Ishan have questions. Noah, could you go to Krishna, please?
We've got around 30 or so people, so think about if you have a report, if you have a question, so we're not, wasting time. So we use the short time we have.
The conditioning of not asking for help and how much we all need help is becoming clearer, and I'm becoming more aware of how much I don't ask for help or even assume that I need help. Assume that I don't need help.
Yeah.
And so yesterday our dog ran away and I came home before Anam did, and I really didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do.
I was hoping you wouldn't find it.
I really didn't know what to do.
I don't like her dog. She was like, I hate them. If I didn't love dogs, just the fact that I adore, and I'm a really big time dog person. The fact that I'm a big time dog person doesn't prevent me from hating your dogs. And I'll give myself in trouble if I say more. Go ahead.
So, I had to ask for a lot of help, and there was so much help available. And yeah, there was so much help. I needed help, and there was a lot of help available. And so because of that, we got him back within, I think, an hour and a half, versus maybe it would have taken us several hours. I don't know. So,
Or never.
or never. Well, because someone took him in. Someone in the neighborhood actually took him in and took really good care of him.
And how much time did they spend in the emergency room?
So, yeah, there was a lot of help available, and we really needed it. So, and I just realized after all of that, like, I'm so not used to asking for help, knowing that I need help, and I was so grateful for the help. So that's what I wanted to report.
So remember that everyone in America and in most Western countries, but let's focus on, because even if you weren't born here, you probably were raised here or have been here long enough that it counts for you, is heavily conditioned, heavily, powerfully, deeply, on a very pervasive scale. It's almost a prohibition. You're kind of almost to the point where the way it's lived unconsciously is you're forbidden to ask for help. It's a wrong thing to do. It means you're not good enough. It means you're not pulling your weight. It means you have no real strength. I mean, the way it works in the mind, who knows? But these are the general ways that make sense if that's the conditioning. And there is a general forbidding, a general prohibition that you should try very hard first to do it on your own before you even consider the notion that maybe I should seek outside assistance. Whatever it is, finding your dog, whatever it is. So it's working against the grain. So the first thing isn't, oh, I recognize it's hard for me to ask for help and I have to do better. That's personalizing it too much. The first thing is to recognize that it's heavily reinforced in every direction, from every direction in this society, that's not a good thing to do, that's a mark of weakness, that will offend other people, that it will give other people a low opinion of you. And the corollary assumption, which you just nicely described how wrong it is that if I ask for help, there probably won't be much. So why even ask? So first, recognize that you have an unconscious, if not conscious, and probably both, but at least unconscious, strong prohibition against asking for help. It's not too much weaker than, like, you're not supposed to punch people strangers in the face for no reason. That's a strong prohibition, and you know very well you're not to do that. It's almost that strong in Americans that you should not be reaching out to other people in a way that says, please help me, or I need assistance with this. You should really move mountains to do it yourself first. And then if you do ask, in the third corollary, if you do ask for help, it says something negative about you. And it weakens you. When in fact, from every metaphysical angle, and every human angle, it strengthens you. But generally, the conditioning prevents you from feeling that or being aware of that. So yes, you should decondition yourself from that. But an important step in that is step one. You should never skip step one in anything. Step one is recognizing that you have a powerful conditioning, a powerful program instilled in you that says, don't do that.
Yeah.
You have to kind of start remembering that, reminding yourself, and really, and if you can't, start to see how it operates moment to moment in daily life. You want something that's across the room and you're really tied up with something and you hesitate to say so-and-so, hey, would you mind grabbing that for me and bringing it over here? Such a little thing, but we hesitate because we're programmed not to ask for, it's asking for help, it's asking for assistance, it's asking for support, but the meta level of it is it's asking for connection and togetherness. So that's what it subverts, the natural togetherness and mutuality and relatedness that's natural between human beings. Because human beings are like a pack of dogs. You're not meant to be solitary. You're not meant to live as an island. You're not, you are born into a tribe, whether you see that or not. And the best way to look at it is the 7.5 billion people on the planet is the tribe. People easily look at it as I'm an American, I'm an Austrian, I'm a Russian, that's my tribe, or I'm from Los Angeles, that's my tribe, or my family is my tribe. So the easiest way to move out of that is just expand it to the population of the world is my tribe.
Similarly, another thing I've observed is
And none of that's hard. You just have to, it really has to be pointed out. It sounds hard if you haven't even moved consciously, purposely in the direction of working on it. But once you start working on it, it actually comes along fairly quickly and without all that much fuss and muss. We're talking about elementary stuff. But most of us haven't done it yet. And you got to get to it.
I also noticed this didn't occur to me before, but a lot of people
Can you turn that monitor on for me?
really don't ask questions when they don't know something because they're afraid to reveal that they don't
They
know
also
something.
They also give very solid answers when they're asked something and don't know the answer.
It's
Both.
yeah.
No one, that's another conditioning, not to appear like you don't know.
Yeah.
So you have to reverse that. The answer for that is pushing, making yourself by force of will, making yourself do the opposite. You don't know, somebody says a sentence and it contains a word, you have no idea what it means. Everything in you says, keep your mouth shut. You say, hey, wait a minute. I don't know that word. What does that mean? And you have to force yourself because the conditioning says, don't do that. It makes you look stupid.
Yeah.
The spiritual way is to be completely willing on a daily basis to look really stupid and to make mistakes without hesitation, without worrying about covering them up or whether they're seen. All mistakes are seen. It's a transparent universe. Due to the metaphysics of having the experience of bodily functioning, the body's an illusion, but it's a real illusion. You really feel pervasively that you have one and that it does what it does. Due to that sheath, let's call it, how you feel and how you think and what's truly in your heart feels like it's inside you. And other people only see vague indications through your eyes, through your nonverbal communication, through your posture, through what you emanate. And usually they don't know what's inside you. Somebody who's a really bad person can fool the whole world into thinking they're a great person. That happens all the time, and vice versa. So understand We're being so metaphysical today. So understand that metaphysically the opposite is true. On a soul level, everything in you is wildly visible. And as a spiritual being, as a multidimensional being that you are, everything in you being truly visible, it's as if you're turned inside out. You think your thoughts are private. You think your feelings are private. You think if there's greed or selfishness or hatred in your heart, nobody sees it. It's better to think of it as it's turned inside out and everybody sees it. Because from a soul perspective, everyone knows everything. So it may not register and they may not be conscious of it, but guess what? They actually do see it. They may not know, and most people don't know that they're not aware of it consciously, but it's there and they get it somehow. So you're way better off in the sense of you're closer to the actuality of the energy level of things that you generally are not aware of, to assume that if there's hatred in your heart, the whole world can see it. It's like your heart's on the outside. It's actually not on the inside. So that's another way to approach it. It's the God is always watching approach. Assume you're being watched, not because God is watching you, because God's not a voyeur, but the universe itself actually is watching you. The universe is consciousness. So is an emanation of consciousness. So consciousness is omnipresent, omnipotent, knows everything. That's why the concept of God in so many traditions is God is everywhere, God knows everything, God is everything all at once, because that is actually the nature of reality. From when you have the metaphysical understanding, you're not going to get it from the material level understanding. From the metaphysical level understanding, that is irrefutable. So you are being watched every moment, and here's the proof. You know very well that you're watching yourself every moment, and you represent you're the whole universe. You're all of reality, and you're reporting to God without realizing it. Only you turn yourself in. And believe me, when you do even tiny things that you know consciously are wrong, you will turn yourself in some way. You'll act it out with some person who will deliver for you the punishment you think you deserve, or the rejection you think you should get because you acted badly, or the disapproval in their eyes that you think you merit because you did a bad thing or the wrong thing. Whatever, you will make the consequences for yourself. Rarely do people get to a point of metaphysical clarity where they see this and see how it works, but it's so important. It's one of the few things I would say, just take my word for it, that it's true. Take anybody's word for it who knows. And it's a phenomenally searing, difficult, and invaluable practice. It's a practice for very courageous people to live as if everything they're doing is being broadcast worldwide. It will keep you on the straight and narrow like nothing else. So that means everything in you. So when you have a hateful feeling, you hold it as if the whole universe knows, the whole world is aware of my hateful feeling. When you have a overly selfish thought, the whole world hears my overly selfish thought. See yourself as permanently on. You're the reality TV show, and everybody's watching. That's a very, very ancient and effective practice.
That makes me think about that MSC quote again, the quality, the one about the nature of a person, the quality of a person's life.
The quality of a human being's life is exactly the quality of that person's love.
So
and remember, love doesn't refer to an emotion. Love means what's in you.
Yeah.
The quality of your life. It means the nature. It means what you'll experience and what you'll create as your reality is a function of what's in you. And you can, while you're alive in a body, you can change what's in you. You can improve it. You can uplift it. You can expand it. You can make it better. You can change the direction. That's very, very difficult, and for most of us, not really possible in a disembodied state. So when you're not alive in the human form anymore, you're not going to have much success with doing that. The body is the best vehicle for that. The earthly body is the best vehicle, or if you happen to be from on another planet, that planetary body.
Thank you.
Your body is part of the earth. Your body is not your spiritual self. Your body is actually the material level itself. You think of it as the body is a physical form and your soul is kind of the bus driver inside, and you're walking around on the physical plane called Earth. It's nothing like that. Your body's part of Earth. There's no soul inside. The soul is not located inside you. And consciousness is the nature of everything. So everything that happens on the what in a bodily form would be experienced as the internal landscape. But the internal landscape and the external landscape are mirror images. Mm-hmm. Change the outside, it changes the inside. Change your life around you, and the inside of you changes. Change what's inside you, and the life around you changes. External and internal are the same, are one, but it's okay and maybe even more practical to think of them as I can focus on changing what I know isn't like it should or could be out there in my life, not out there to change the world, in my life, in my environment, in my circle. Or I can focus on the external, and that also handles things on the internal, or I can focus on the internal, and that will also change things on the external. Mm-hmm. It's not two sides of the same coin. There's no coin, but you can think of it that way for practical purposes.
Thank you.
Swamiji, we have questions and reports from Ishan, Malini, Ashika, Sky, and Shanti.
Is Guy someone new who hasn't been with us before?
Sky.
Hmm?
Sky.
Oh, Sky. Sounds like Guy. You have an accent.
I do.
Okay, you're the moderator, so you tell
Ishan, could you go to the cushion, please?
The order. Talk to your support group.
I always forget.
I'm just the guru.
So I want to report that when I say I don't know, I do feel like I have to force myself actually to say I don't know when I really don't know. And I notice
you do have to force yourself because, like we've been talking about this whole satsang, you're very conditioned. Everyone in Western life is, and in Eastern life, to the degree it's Westernized, it's also true. You're very conditioned to try hard to present yourself to yourself and others as a knower. To achieve, to seem knowledgeable, to acquire knowledge, to come across capable. All of that is the pieces of I'm a knower. When there's no such thing. No one knows a damn thing.
Yes, I have seen like it does. I do see the feedback. You know, people seem to be treating me better, or maybe responding in a very loving way towards that. So,
In simple terms, when you strongly try to give off the image of a knower, people see you as arrogant and aren't that interested in being around you, certainly not in helping you. If you present yourself in any way as a non-knower, people naturally, they're just built that way. People naturally gravitate towards you and want to be helpful towards you. Without saying a word. It's just what you're giving off energetically. Find me one person who likes a know-it-all. Yeah, my friend Bill, he's a know-it-all. You really love being around him. He may be your friend, but you have a high opinion of him. And we start as know-it-alls. We're all taught to think we know it all. We all kind of naturally, as children, think we know everything. And many of us never grow very far out of that, far into adulthood.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a deep Western conditioning. It is not an Eastern conditioning, but the East more and more has taken that on due to the rapidity and pervasiveness of Westernization. It is gobbling up the world. We export the worst we have to give. Westernization to me is a very negative term. It means extreme materialism and disregard for the humane. And a kind of a separate dog-eat-dog mentality.
And also this week I've noticed how every moment I'm choosing to focus on things that really don't matter that much, like what
You're not
happened at work.
choosing, that's your habit due to conditioning and due to habit. Think of it just a habit. Don't think of it as so self-judging.
Mm-hmm.
We all have habits. You can change a bad habit and trade it up for a good habit.
Mm-hmm. And I also noticed that when I said, okay, focus more on God, focus more on the Guru, I had this immediate thought, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It won't make a difference if I do that, And I couldn't believe how pervasively I thought that. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. It won't make a difference.
So what's your understanding of why that thought would appear
Conditioning.
in those circumstances? Yeah, but what's the nature of that conditioning?
Dismissal of the divine nature of things.
But what comes before that? There's no wrong answer here. I'm just trying to help you get to the layer that reveals.
I don't know.
Well, think for a minute.
Okay.
Effort is always needed.
That only the material matters.
See, most of the time when we say, I don't know, what we're saying is, it didn't come immediately, so the hell with it. Think for a minute. Think, feel, whatever it takes. Intuit. It's only the Guru who demands you think for yourself. The rest of the world's quick and happy to give you the answer. Because then they get to be knowers and you're the fool. The world does not encourage you to think for yourself. If that's not clear to you, believe me.
That only the material level matters.
That's it. See? See? I'm gloating now. See? You had to think about it, but why ask me for the answer? Why take the easy route when if you can come up with it, it's more likely you'll keep it. If I just say it to you, it might elude you more tomorrow and the next day. But if you come up with it, that's kind of, you're seeing it. It's not just a mental process. So exactly, the base idea is the material is the real. So when you start having different ideas, I should think about the guru because all traditions, wisdom traditions recommend that. I should think about God, or I should focus on God, or I should try to experience more of God. Of course, the conditioning immediately fights back and says, that's a stupid waste of time. It won't bring you in any increase in your bank account. You won't have a nicer car in the end. Focus on the material. It's a continuously reinforced message. It's not just you're conditioned that way when you're tiny. It's reinforced in the culture all day long, everywhere you look. You know, the majority of countries in the world, advertising billboards are illegal. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
The majority of countries, the roughly 400 countries, more than 200, it's illegal. You'll see a sign here and there for a specific purpose that's allowed. You don't see what you see here. Literally endless billboards on every city street, endless billboards on every highway and freeway, and every roadway is endless billboards, endless messages, endless advertising, endless trying to influence you. So what is the meta message behind the fact that that's so? Hey guys, it's a material world. So buy a nice fridge.
You only live once.
You only live once. Or here's the best deal, so take advantage. It doesn't matter the form. The point is there is a meta message. There's an underlying theme that the unconscious mind extracts from it. It's subliminal in that sense. And the unconscious message is the material is what matters. When everywhere your eyes can look when you leave the house, there's a material message: buy this, do that, go to this movie, eat this food, drink this juice. It's a constant reinforcement that the material is what's significant. And everything else, even if it is significant, is less significant. And that is hard to overcome because it's everywhere all the time. And that is why there are many countries that absolutely don't allow that. Because whether they're spiritually oriented or not, they kind of, and not everyone that has those laws, not every country that has those laws is clearly because they have a certain spiritual awareness. In some it's true. In some it's just they realize kind of that it's not right, that the human system isn't set up to be barraged like that it's kind of inhumane to do that to people, so they have laws that limit that. But here it's people tack up signs on trees and on, it's not just the commercial billboards, people even tack it on trees and telephone poles. Garage sale. Although I've never been to one where they're selling a garage. But never says junk sale. It says garage.
Garbage sale. Left the B out.
The crap I can't give away sale. The stuff the Goodwill came and said, we're not taking it.
I can see I was judging myself because I feel like it's kind of a crazy condition, crazy thought to have, because every time I do try to feel
you can't
towards
judge
God,
yourself for conditioning, because conditioning literally by definition means somebody influenced me to see it this way or experience it this way or think of it this way. So if you recognize it as a conditioning, you should use that as a reminder to pull out the self-judgment. You cannot, no one can blame themselves for being conditioned. The computer doesn't blame itself for the software. Somebody inserted it. The hardware can't say, if the software sucks, it's my fault. I chose the wrong software. No, the operator chose the software and inserted it. And software and conditioning operate the same way.
Because I do feel like I have enough evidence. Like every time I'm in my heart and I feel towards God, I feel it. I mean, I feel Him. I feel that presence.
So
in
you
my
need
heart.
to become more willing to live it, work it, practice it. If it works that well, it's a clue that this is what I need to practice. And that usually means you have to write it somewhere where you won't lose track of it to remind you. Because if you're relying on memory and you're a human being, you're screwed.
Yes.
When I was 20, I had literally, really, truly, when I was young, I had a steel trap memory. I could rely on my memory in a big way. And that's not most 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds. But it's some. But that's a small proportion. Maybe it's 10, 20, 30%, something like that. But if you're basically over 25 or 30 and you're thinking it's fine to rely on memory for anything, you will be again and again sadly disappointed and frustrated, because memory is not reliable. And for spiritual life, memory is not a aid. You have to make a big sign somehow that will remind you to the degree you need to be reminded, whether it's daily or hourly, or that to find the way to turn what works into more of a practice so that you are getting the benefit. Because anything that works really well and really quickly means it's perfect for you. Instead, people are, voraciously reading books on practices and different meditation techniques and all this. And just like what you're describing, they've already found powerful methods that are perfect for them, and they don't realize they don't need to look elsewhere to find something traditional or better or more powerful. What's powerful, it's a simple measure. If it's right for you, the results will be quick, either immediate or within a few weeks. And the results will be clearly discernible to you. You'll feel it either powerfully or sufficiently to know, wow, this really works, or this is good, or this has a real practical applicability for me. It immediately takes me somewhere. If you do something for a month and there are no results, never try it again. It's not for you. But if you really try it, not if you half-heartedly did it once in a while, if you do it as a real practice daily for long enough, and you go 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and there's been no result, you've proven this is not my method. This will not be effective for me. That's why there's many teachers, many traditions, many ways, because different people do better with different methods. What's right for you isn't right for everybody.
It's also hard to pinpoint which practice.
No, it's not hard. You just said when you turn your
Right.
attention to the Guru in a focused way, and or when I turn my attention to God in a focused way, I get big results instantly. My heart opens, I feel different, everything has a different meaning. That's what you basically indicated. So that's a method. That's a technique. That's a meditation. Call it whatever the hell. I don't care what word you use. It's a practice. You're learning to, in fact, it's a very profound practice. You're learning, it is a meditation. You're learning how to, the most important thing in life, if you accept that the entire human life is a preparation for the moment of death and for what comes after death, the most important thing you can learn is to control your mind. The most important thing you can learn, which means at will, you can move your attention in any direction or toward anything you choose. Nobody said it better than Adida, or in more summarized form. In life, you make mind. After death, mind makes you. That means you can learn how to move your attention, control your mind during life. And if you don't, then after death, whatever your state of mind is, that's the landscape you're going to find yourself in. So if you're, by tendency, throughout most of your life, a worried, negative person, you're going to have a worried, negative afterlife or after-death experience for some period of time. It won't be forever, but you'll go through a phase where that's your experience. So if you can move your attention to the divine and strengthen it to the point where you can do it at will, anytime, anywhere you choose to, and easily remember to do it, you are in good shape for death. You are likely to have a very pleasant after-death experience, because anything that's unpleasant, you can simply move your attention. You can only learn it in life, because if you don't know how to do it, and nobody teaches you this except in spiritual life, so most of us don't know how to do it. I don't yet know how to do it. It takes really diligent practice for most people. So it requires a nervous system and something like a brain, which is part of the nervous system, to learn how to do it, because it's not just, the process of learning it is not just mind. It includes your physical system, because everything in your physical system is both conducive to it in the sense of having a nervous system, and everything in your physical system is also a distraction to it, so that you have the perfect opportunity. If you do learn it, it means you overcame all those distractions. And if you don't, you're stuck with whatever you experience after death. You can't change the landscape. You can't tune into a better channel, which is easy to do after death if you have the ability to move your attention at will, because after death, you're just your state of mind. You'll be there, but you'll be there as your state of mind. The rest is gone. And if you have the ability to have a say in that, to control that, to move that in a better direction, you're in fantastic shape. That's why I got to stay alive. I haven't learned it yet. If I drop dead now and I'm in a bad state of mind right now because of all this treatment for trauma that kind of stirs everything up, I'm in a precarious position. So I'm very strongly planning on staying alive. I don't want to die unprepared. And I've been very busy for the past 14 years with a job God gave me, so I haven't really seriously focused on that type of practice, which is the opposite of what's my natural practice are bhakti practices, and that's a meditative knowledge path practice. I need to do it.
Yeah, like for me too, like I can see the division between work and spiritual life comes from that, because when I focus at work, I'm just focused on work. I know you said you can bifurcate your focus, but I haven't found a way to do that yet.
Practice.
Okay.
That's like saying I haven't found a way to play the piano yet. Have you practiced? No.
Okay. Thank you.
Take lessons and practice. That's how you learn anything. If you kind of know, then just practice. And if you don't know it all, then you have to have somebody show you or teach you and then practice. Everything can be compared to a car, and everything is like piano lessons. Both are true. Those two work for an analogy for almost everything in spiritual life.
Thank you.
And what people also have to overcome is the notion that if it isn't immediately easy for you, that means it's not for you. You got to give it a real try, but not for a long period of time if it doesn't work. I haven't told the story in years, but I used to tell it all the time. I used to have this colleague at work when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. He'd been practicing yoga. He was older than me. He was practicing yoga diligently, daily. He went to the yoga studio for 30 years, 28, 30 or something like that, because he wasn't that much older. And one day and I didn't like the guy, but whenever he had some kind of catastrophe or his girlfriend broke up with him or something, somehow he always came to my house. I really hated that. So, but I can't, I'm a pushover. I'd cook him dinner. I'd talk to him and try to help him feel better. And not because I'm a wonderful person. It's just like I'm a pushover. So it's a flaw that people I can't stand. I can't always say no to. I can say no more easily than most people can't to lots of things. But somehow, if it's somebody who's like hurting, it's hard for me to say no, even if I hate him. I didn't hate him. I just didn't care much for him. I just thought he was boring. Anyway, so he's been doing yoga for, close to 30 years. And out of the blue, just out of curiosity, it just came up one day at work. I said, okay, so and I think it's because he mentioned that, I'll be a little late tonight to the yoga studio. I got to stop off. And I just triggered something in my mind. I said, let me ask you a question. You've been doing yoga 28 years, 30, whatever. Yeah. What have you gotten out of it? Now, you would think that he would have the answer immediately. So I was actually quite surprised when he said, give me a minute to think about that. He thought about it, and a minute became 2 minutes, and 2 minutes became 3 minutes, which is a long time when you're, been asked a question. And he said, now that I think, first of all, nobody ever asked me that. And now that I think about it, I can't think of a single thing. Because I'm a kind of outdoorsy person. I canoe, I kayak, I hike, I do all. So I don't think it's actually given me, even physically, I don't think it's given me, better physical shape. I think I'd be pretty much in the same shape if I didn't do the yoga. And I've been told that yoga has spiritual purposes, but I'm not aware of any. So I always used to use him the first 5 or 8 years I was in a guru chair. I always would say, don't do anything for 30 years. Don't do anything for 30 days without thinking, what am I getting from it? What is the result? This guy was doing frickin' yoga for frickin' 30 years. And I don't doubt it. If he can't come up with, I'm getting something out of it, guess what? He wasn't getting anything out of it. Yoga, whatever yoga he was, school he belonged to, whatever he was practicing, was not for him. But he spent 30 years, and probably to this day, doing it. So don't be that guy. That's why I talk often about, when you go to the doctor and they don't help you, you find a different doctor. When you have a mechanic and you take your car in to be fixed and it's still not working right, you start thinking about finding another mechanic. It's anything. When you take a vitamin for rejuvenation and you don't feel better, you start thinking maybe it's the wrong vitamin. And somehow no one thinks that way around spiritual stuff. And why would it be different? You must look at the results. And the results aren't, well, I'll try it for 30 years and then we'll see. You don't have time. You don't have that kind of time. He wasn't a very bright guy, so I understand. But you're brighter. Everybody who's with me is brighter than that. So use your intelligence and don't do things without evaluating their effectiveness realistically. But like I already said, and I'm saying it again to emphasize it, give it the old college try. Really do it diligently for X days, weeks before you say it's not for me. But many times people say it's not for me, and you ask them, well, how often did you do it? 10 minutes about every 3 days. Well, that's not really trying. That's not giving it a chance. There's no practice that's 10 minutes every 3 days that's going to be spiritually effective, unless it's so for you, and then they get dramatic results, and they're still doing it 10 minutes every 3 days. They should be doing it 3 times a day, every day. Be smart, that's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Malini, could you go to the question, please?
We're close to out of time, just so you know. What are you adjusting? The pillow. How's my makeup? More rouge. More lipstick.
When you said today to progress on the spiritual path, one of the easiest ways is to change.
Oh, I like so much of that stuff. Say path again.
Path.
No, like you said it, path.
Path.
Yeah. And that sound like path. I'm on a spiritual path. Yeah, don't ever say path. Keep saying path.
I'm so conscious about speaking right now.
If you were one of the Spice Girls, you'd be Path Spice. I'm Fringe Spice.
You said change the way how you relate to other people, and I've been
Which always means relate more openly, more deeply, be more available, be more heart connected. Be willing to be vulnerable. Connect more. Connect more and connect more better.
Since the first full day workshop I did with you here, I've been looking at one thing, which is me feeling unseen with others, unseen and unwanted. And I dance, I'm in performing arts too, in addition to whatever I do. I have a performance tonight. And it comes up a lot in those settings where I feel like I'm the unseen person. It's easier for me to relate one-on-one, but in a group setting, even if there's like one other person, 3 people, and there is more desire to be seen, especially in relationship to others. When I'm on my own in my apartment, I'm just the happiest person on the planet. I love being by myself. And I don't know how to, there's a desire to be seen and connect more and relate more.
So do you know the reason you feel unseen? Have you discovered or, you know, looked into that? You have some idea of the reason?
It's a childhood thing, and I actually had an honest conversation with my mom about it after the workshop, because it came up wherein
So you have an idea that it comes from how you were raised, that how you were raised didn't really include being seen. Those who raised you, their way was to not really see you or look in your direction. You were kind of part of the furniture.
yeah,
In some way, in
on
the
your
most
own.
general, yeah.
Yeah.
Or kind of a neglect. You're smart, you're able, even though you're 3, so you don't need us. We can do our thing.
Yeah.
So you don't need more analysis than that. You don't need to have more information than that, because you should assume the more direct, immediate, without 3 years of psychotherapy approach would be to start recognizing that those who are brought up in a way that ends up with a feeling of being unseen are unconsciously and with no awareness of it and having no clue that they're doing it, are finding ways to hide, often in plain sight. So you have to start looking for how you're hiding. And you can skip all of that and just do the first thing we said, which is practice connecting with more people in more ways and more deeply and being more vulnerable. And then it doesn't matter how it got created in you to feel unseen. And it doesn't matter how you're hiding, because connecting takes you out of hiding. But an intermediate way that you'll have to experiment, or my recommendation is you experiment and see which brings the quickest, most dramatic results. One way is to start to feel how you're hiding and turn it inside out, do the opposite, jump into the middle, find ways to make it impossible to not be seen. I don't mean start screaming and jumping on people, but you'll figure it out. That's one way. And the other way is to focus on connecting and relating. But you might want to give the trying to identify how you're hiding, even energetically, you might want to give that some consideration or some experimentation first, because that often has powerful results.
What are the ways that someone can energetically hide?
That's exactly what you should be asking yourself. But you can look for it inside yourself. You can look for how you're doing it in any given moment. It's coming from the inside. It's how you hold yourself inside that kind of makes a smokescreen or makes you part of the woodwork. You have to look for it like a detective. Now, if it doesn't compute for you, then don't do that. Just focus on connecting. But if I say to you that you might be finding lots of ways to hide even when you're in plain sight, does that sound like it could be true?
It is true.
It is true. So that would be a good place to start, is to focus on that and see what you can become aware of or notice. And first notice, if that works and you become aware more of the methods you're using, whatever they are, I don't know what they are, but whatever methods you're using to hide, first focus on that. Focus on becoming aware of how you're doing it rather than changing it. Because what most people want to do is, if they become aware of it, they want to immediately change it. And it's better to spend more time, meaning many months at least, just letting yourself become more aware of it, staying in detective mode so you see how much you're doing it, how you're doing it, and don't even think about how to change it until it's painfully clear to you that you're doing it and at least doing it and doing it at least most of the time and all the different ways. There's not just one thing. Can you feel how you're doing it right now?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not even far away from your awareness. So just increase that awareness, go more into it. And you don't have to worry about how to change it, because if you become profoundly aware of it, it'll start to be unpleasant, painful, frustrating, and it'll naturally occur to your mind how to change it, how to stop hiding, how to change the energy or change the outward behavior or whatever it is. So always has to include the energetic level and the physical level, not just energy. Don't just think energy, because people hide using their bodies or even in their bodies, so don't leave out the physical. Does that all that compute?
Thank you.
Okay. So before you get up, slowly make eye contact with every person in the room, so you'll become painfully aware of how you're hiding. And that may help you in this moment to not feel like you're hiding, or it may make you acutely aware of how you are. I don't care which, but it'll be a good thing. So does that make you more aware of how you're hiding, or does that make you more aware of how it's possible to, at some point, someday, not have to hide?
I'm pulling out a screaming child that's trying to run away.
So it makes you aware of the deeply rooted tendency to want to hide, to want to not be seen. So good. So there's already tons of awareness. More will help more.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be emotional, so you have to accept that. It won't be without tears, and it won't be without difficulty, because it will be difficult for anybody. Good.
Ashika, could you please come to the cushion?
Well, we're really out of time, so aren't we? Yeah, we're 7 minutes over time.
Yeah.
How many other people were there?
There's Ashika, Sky, and Shanti.
Okay, so next time, Monday.
Okay.
In 2 days, we do it again. Make notes.
Yes.